Today, we're taking a look at what's happening in gaming and tech news. Let's get to it. In a concerning move for game journalism in general, IGN Entertainment has channeled their inner Microsoft and has gone on a bit of an acquisition spree. In an article at IGN.com, they announced that they're picking up GameIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Game Informer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and Dicebreaker. IGN Entertainment was already a bit of a giant in gaming media, owning places like How Long to Beat and Humble Bundle, along with also holding shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot, which operates Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. From a purely corporate standpoint, these acquisitions make sense. Eurogamer gives them instant recognition in European gaming journalism, Game Informer gives them a batch of exclusive content and a fairly loyal fan base, and Rock Paper Shotgun gets them an instant indie-focused brand. But these acquisitions raise a lot of questions. Will editorial independence remain intact for the outlets? How many redundancies does corporate think there are once the dust settles? Look, we're just going to call this out up front. Consolidation like this is rarely good for any industry, and is almost always bad for employees at any of the places involved. At the corporate level, they usually deem one group or another as redundant, and then the layoffs begin. Look no further than what Microsoft is doing to its game studios. It's also generally never a good thing for journalists to lose their independence and have to align to a corporate message, because that will happen at some point. You either get on board or you get left behind. We're keeping a close eye on this one, but so far, we're not thrilled with any of this. I'm about to butcher some names here, so apologies to all up front. In an interesting but calculated move, Arrowhead Game Studios, the developer behind the wildly successful Helldivers 2, announced the appointment of Shams Yorhani as its new chief executive officer. This transition marks a pivotal moment for the studio, as Yorhani steps into the role previously held by company founder Johan Pilestead. Pilestead will now assume the mantle of chief creative officer, a role that he was splitting with CEO prior to this change. His transition reflects a deliberate shift, allowing him to immerse himself fully in the studio's games and engage closely with the Arrowhead community, which is clearly where his passion is, because he's been at it for the whole roller coaster ride that's been the story of Helldivers 2 since it launched. Shams Yorhani brings a lot to the table himself. As a former executive at Paradox Interactive, he's well versed in the ins and outs of game development. His tweet announcing this news was short but direct. A bit of news: I'm joining the amazing team at Arrowhead GS as CEO. Humbled and excited to get to work with such talented nerds, again. He's stepping into the role at an interesting time, coming at the tail end of the clash with Helldivers 2 publisher and IP owner Sony over account requirements. While Sony eventually reversed its decision, the game remains unavailable in countries without live PSN access. At the same time, Arrowhead seems to be learning in real time how to work with community feedback on things like weapon balance and nerfs, which has resulted in a few recalibrations of their live service approach. Johan Pilestead's decision to step down as CEO reflects his commitment to the spirit of Helldivers 2 itself. He also took to Twitter and said, "Hey everyone, big update. I've decided to hire Shams Yorhani as the new CEO of Arrowhead GS. We go way back, and I wouldn't trust the business in any other hands than his, and he comes with an impressive resume and love for games. But what about me and my involvement in Helldivers 2? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm taking the role of Chief Creative Officer, which means I'll spend more time with the team and 100% of my focus on the games and community." Ultimately, this seems like a good move. Pilestead has been engaged with the community since the launch of Helldivers 2, but was previously splitting his time between the role he has now and the role of being the CEO. So far, he's been great for the Helldivers 2 community, and this move seems like it'll allow him to stay engaged with the fan base. In a somewhat rare move, Nintendo has announced its acquisition of Shiver Entertainment, a Florida-based studio known for its expertise in porting games to the Nintendo Switch. The deal, which involves the purchase of Shiver Entertainment from the Embracer Group, may be a signal of things to come for Nintendo's plans around their next console. Shiver Entertainment's portfolio includes the Nintendo Switch ports of Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 1. This gives Nintendo first-party access to a studio with a proven track record in adapting games for the Switch. This is yet another sign that Nintendo is serious about securing high-level resources for both porting existing titles and developing new software. By fully integrating Shiver Entertainment as a wholly owned subsidiary, Nintendo seems to be doubling down on its commitment to the Switch platform. Shiver CEO John Schappert brings along some other interesting industry experience for Nintendo, having overseen Xbox Live, Xbox platform software, and Microsoft Game Studios at one point. Imagine Nintendo with a proper online presence. A man can dream. It's clear that even with rumors of a new console being announced by the end of this fiscal year, Nintendo seems to be hyper-focused on building out the Switch ecosystem, which aligns with one of the current leading rumors that the Switch 2 will essentially expand on the work that they've done with the current Switch. Given the influx of Fallout 76 players these days, and being long-time players here at Overload headquarters, we thought we'd toss in some in-game event news. Meat Week kicked off on May 21st and is set to run through June 4th. During Meat Week, 2 seasonal public events are active, Primal Cuts and Graham's Meat Cook. Primal Cuts is an event that appears every 15 minutes at 3 locations in Appalachia. Once you get there, bang the drum at one of the locations to start the event and fight off waves of hostile beasts. The whole point of this event is to collect event currency called Prime Meat. Some locations have stronger enemies and will reward you with more Prime Meat at the expense of dealing with said tougher baddies. After the event, take that Prime Meat to Graham's cooking camp in the forest, and drop it off at the cooking cauldron for legendary script, or don't, because at the top of every hour, Graham's Meat Cook kicks off. This is also a place to spend that Prime Meat, and while the amount of meat that you bring is important, there's a lot of other tasks involved in this event, including playing music, putting out fires, and picking up messes around the campsite. The event has a gauge that fills up as you complete tasks. This is a fun one to do on public servers, and you'll need at least a small group to fill that gauge. Outside of mixing things up, these events also drop unique account rewards, and this time around, you can get the Weenie Wagon, Megalonyx fossils, and 3 new meat plushies. Remember Nightingale, that steampunk-looking survival game that we were all excited about for about 10 minutes? Well, the people over at Inflexion Games are still plugging away at the early access version of the game, and in a recent update, 0.3.0, they announced that they've hit a significant milestone. They're rolling out offline mode, and a bunch of other stuff. From the update, we've been busy over the last couple of months taking in your feedback and making significant updates to the game, including Update 0.2. That leads us to one of the most requested features, offline mode. As we've mentioned before, offline mode was something that we had always planned on bringing to Nightingale. We're really pleased we're able to bring it out just a few months after our initial early access debut and give players more choice in how they experience Nightingale. On one hand, while this is a great addition, I'm more interested in some of the other things in this update, like the addition of build from storage, character loadouts, and quite a few of the other changes listed. Anything to make some of the game loops stronger is good to see. On the other hand, offline mode is absolutely a good thing. This is game preservation friendly, and ultimately a pro gamer move. Not pro gamer move, but like pro gaming. You know what I'm saying. The changelog here is impressive, and our last visit to the game was at launch, so we might hop back in to take a look at things now. Modder and YouTuber Deity Vengi, or Vengi, we'll go with the first one, but probably just call him Deity. Well, they posted an 11-minute video of Starfield after setting up over 100 Star Wars mods, and the result is, well, just look at it. And this isn't just visual additions. We're not running audio here for obvious reasons, but the mods include music and sounds from the movies. And you can make a solid argument that these items are just as important as the visuals themselves when it comes to a full Star Wars experience. In an interview with Kotaku, Deity said, "I basically added every single Star Wars mod out there on Nexus as a foundation, and then I started doing custom editing off of that. And if anyone watching this has set up mods in a Bethesda game before, you'll already know that this can quickly turn into a massive effort once you get to 3 or 4 mods that kind of do the same thing. Lots of conflicts, lots of crashing. So the fact that Deity has more than 100 up and running at the same time makes this even more impressive. But in an incredibly rare move, Deity also posted a how-to doc alongside some other custom files. I say this is incredibly rare because YouTube is filled with videos of people modding Skyrim and Morrowind with hundreds of mods that make the game look modern, but you almost never see any of these videos post how they did it, or even their load list for that matter. So seeing these extra files is much appreciated. And in another cool move, Deity has a how-to guide for all of this up at GitHub as well. What makes all of this even more impressive is that all of this exists without there being an official Starfield mod tool from Bethesda yet. Hot on the heels of the screenshot leaks of Valve's rumored next game, we now have some actual video as well, and at this point it's all over social media. It's rumored to be called Dreadlock, and visually there's a lot of steampunk flavored Dota stuff going on. The game itself is rumored to be a 6v6 competitive shooter that has some tower defense mechanics throughout. Longtime Valve leaker Gabe Follower posted the following about the game. Deadlock, next Valve game. Previously known as Neon Prime Citadel, competitive third-person hero-based shooter, 6v6 battling on huge map with 4 lanes, usable abilities and items, tower defense mechanics, fantasy setting mixed with steampunk, magicians, weird creatures, and robots, fast travel using floating rails similar to Bioshock Infinite. Basically, fast-paced, interesting ADHD gameplay. Combination of Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant, Smite, and Orcs Must Die. Hero design pretty much inspired by Dota universe. Main map references modern steampunk European cities, a little bit like Half-Life. Initially, game had sci-fi elements inspired by Half-Life and Portal, but after bad feedback, dev team decided to focus on fantasy. At this point, we're inclined to believe that these leaks are the real deal, because we can't recall a hoax as elaborate as what we've seen here. But hey, who knows? In the age of AI built to mimic art in this fashion, maybe we're being duped, but I'm just not feeling that. It's also interesting to see some of the hot takes that are already flying around, but we like the creator of Garry's Mod's take on this noise. Enjoying watching everyone hating on 4 badly compressed screenshots of closed alpha game, while 100% certain that they'll be stepping on each other's throats to play. And finally, put on your tinfoil hats, because we're going off-road into some Black Mirror territory. Along with new hardware announcements, during a build conference on Monday, Microsoft revealed a new feature for Copilot Plus PCs that'll allow Windows 11 users to search and retrieve their past activities on their PC. They're calling this AI-powered feature Recall. And how does it work? Recall records everything you do on your PC. App usage, things you do in said apps, audio, video, and text communications and live meetings, and websites visited. As you can imagine, not everyone thinks this is a cool feature, us included. I mean, we get how something like this could be useful, but it's really hard to imagine a world where this doesn't end up in some massive data or privacy breach. Microsoft says that everything related to Recall is encrypted and stored locally, but that hasn't stopped people from raising privacy concerns. And these concerns go way beyond it being used to see if someone maybe looked at some adult stuff online. Just imagine what scammers are going to do to your parents and grandparents once they trick them into giving them full access to these Recall-enabled Copilot Plus PCs. Or in an even worse case scenario, imagine a journalist getting detained in a foreign country and having this feature enabled on their seized laptop. I don't know, but we're having a hard time weighing the benefits of a feature like this against the potential misuse of it. Because I get that it's tricky to find stuff online after you happen across it a few hours ago, but Recall as a solution to that really feels like overkill here. I want to mention our Patreon. As a subscriber, you'll be listed as a producer of our content. You'll also get access to our custom game cover art that we've put together over the years. You'll likely see it in action in some of our videos. This art works great with custom launchers and really goes a long ways in making a digital game collection look awesome. So click on the link below, head on over to our Patreon, and become a producer today. And that about wraps things up. Please like this video if you found it useful, and subscribe to our channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and we'll chat again soon.